Hey, George.
Hey, Nick.
Sorry to interrupt this episode of Reslayer's Take, but we have to tell the people about ButcherBox.
Oh, yeah. Listen, friends, we only do ads for sponsors we think are great, and ButcherBox is on our good list.
ButcherBox sent us each a customized box of high-quality meat, and they were so freaking good. It's so convenient having a box of incredible meat in your freezer without ever having to step foot in a grocery store.
And the greatest part? This antibiotic-free and humanely raised meat comes with plenty of curated tips and recipes. So whipping up awesome dinners is a cinch.
These prices are impossible to beat for the quality, and where the heck else can you get free protein for a whole dang year? Not the grocery store. So sign up at butcherbox.com/reslayer and get our special deal.
ButcherBox is offering our listeners a free for a year offer plus an additional $20 off. Choose chicken breast, salmon, or ground beef free in every order for a year. Sign up today at butcherbox.com/reslayer and use code RESLAYER to choose your free for a year offer, plus $20 off your first order.
Let's get grilling.
Hello, Halflings! George Primavera here to tell you about Three Black Halflings, a conversational comedy podcast hosted by Jasper Cartwright, Olivia Kennedy, and Jeremy Cobb. Three nerdy friends with strong opinions and even stronger charisma scores. Having grown up in different corners of the world, they bring a diverse range of perspectives as they talk about their experiences as people of color in pop culture fandoms, D&D, and the TTRPG community. Born of a love of all things nerdy, all three of them share personal and often hilarious stories, challenge typical fantasy tropes, and tackle diversifying fantasy, all whilst discussing the things they love. From Lord of the Rings to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, playing your first tabletop role-playing game, or advice for seasoned adventurers, there's something for everyone. They've brought on an array of guests from all around the roleplay community and beyond, including Christina Ariel, Brendan Lee Mulligan, Jake Hurwitz, Lou Wilson, and many more. The list goes on and on. Join them in their quest to explore diversity in the incredible worlds of D&D and pop culture through thought-provoking conversations and good times. Subscribe to Three Black Halflings on Apple, Spotify, Pocket Casts, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every Monday and Thursday. So long, Shire folk!
Welcome to the Reslayer's Take. I'm George Primavera.
And I'm Nick Williams. In this podcast, George and I lead a group of players through an exciting improvised adventure in Exandria, the magical world of Critical Role.
We're playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but you won't need to know the rules to follow along. All you need to know is that nothing the players do is scripted or planned, and their fates are determined by their own cleverness and the random chance of rolling a 20-sided die.
You can listen to new episodes of the Reslayer's Take every Monday, anywhere you stream podcasts.
Or if you want to listen to the podcast 2 weeks early and uninterrupted by ads, join Beacon at beacon.tv.
Last but certainly not least, if you're enjoying the story, please consider leaving a rating and review. Your feedback might inspire someone new to join this adventure.
Now, without further ado,
welcome to the Reslayer's Take.
Our party looks out onto a raging blizzard. After passing through the strange, ghostly green barrier of energy, an entirely different landscape awaits them. Gone are the vibrant trees of the Vesper Timberlands, and in their place, shards of ice, shaped like trees, spear into the sky. Within these great icicles, warped by the uneven ice, you can see shriveled remnants of once glorious trees. There is a whispering on the whipping wind from time to time. About a mile in the distance, a great mountaintop, absolutely covered in snow, rises into the sky. Everybody make a perception check.
20. 10.
12.
13.
The furious wind causes everyone to shield their eyes a bit, also getting used to the stark white of this landscape. It seems brighter here, like it's no longer nighttime, but somewhere in between dusk and twilight. Farah, her experience spurring her onward, spots something a couple 100 feet away.
Guys, it looks like there's a cave down there.
Good. I am not accustomed to the cold.
I've spent a lot of time in caves. That's probably where we want to go.
Why is everything you say so cryptic?
Cryptic? I'm trying to be an open book here for you, Adrian.
What a weird book.
Oh, to be covered with fur at a time like this.
Hira, do you want this?
Frog swiftly pulls off her poncho and throws it to Hira. Because she acted so quickly, Frog didn't stop to think about what she would reveal when she took off her poncho.
And we see Frog's true form.
When she removed her poncho, her glasses went with it, revealing 2 small blue orbs that glow. Her face is humanoid in shape, but it is smooth and coppery orange with a tinge of age that shows itself in greenish hues. Her shoulders are broad and segmented. You can clearly see hinged joints in her elbows and her wrists and each of her 10 fingers. Across her chest are ornate shapes like leaves and foliage. You can see that her whole body is like this. This is no suit of armor.
Hera greedily grabs the poncho out of the air, pulls it over her head hastily, and without thinking throws her arms around Frog, saying, "Oh my gosh, thank you so..." As she looks up and at the broad metal chest, she just says, "Well, there's more to you than meets the eye, Frog."
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, I'm not strictly organic. I'm not even exactly sure what I am, except that I am...
Kind.
Whoa, thank you. That's very nice.
And also very tall.
But now you can see why I don't really need to eat anything.
That makes way more sense. Can I get back on your shoulders?
Yeah,
Frog offers her hands to Idrin.
Idrin takes it and climbs back up.
and I want to apologize for keeping it a secret. The monks at the temple told me that I should probably conceal my identity for my safety and the safety of others.
It makes way more sense than you were just always wearing armor. I mean, can you even imagine? I mean, if you were just to live in armor and never take it off. The smell alone! Good gods! I would have been worried you were following the same logical processes as Timpani here.
Hey, thanks, Idrin. Now let's get going. Double speed. We gotta make it to Poogs before something bad happens to him.
As soon as Timpani turns away from the party, he freezes, as there is a curious vine of ghostly green light that suddenly emerges from the ground directly in front of him, and seems to look at the party, despite its lack of any facial features. It swerves in the air like a snake. Everybody make an insight check.
10.
21. 15.
8.
Both Timpani and Farah realize that this thing seems to be looking for an angle of attack, though it is hesitant, as it is currently outnumbered.
Farah shoots.
Without having to load her crossbow, a spectral bolt appears in the firing mechanism and shoots forward. Roll an attack.
13.
Hit. Roll damage.
2.
With a thunk, the ghostly bolt sticks inside of the vine as if both are corporeal. The vine flinches and disappears back into the ground, completely gone from sight. However, as it disappears, there is a very faint red smoke that seems to waft above its disappearance point, and that smoke travels backward, further towards the base of the mountain, as if it is tracing above the ground where the vine is retracting.
All right, let's follow it.
Farah trudges onward, throwing the crossbow on her shoulder.
It's great having someone with real life experience on board.
Hera scowls and, pulling the poncho closer over her shoulders, hurries her steps to catch up with Farah.
Idrin just holds on for the ride.
And by the way, that's not some veiled way of saying you're old. I'm much older than you are. I just don't want you to get the wrong idea, considering we're new friends and all.
I don't get any ideas from you.
4 fingers? You're the thumb.
A thumb. The one thing that separates us from the beasts. Thanks, Hera.
The group ends up at the entrance to an enormous cave leading into a mountain. Everybody make a nature check as you gaze upon massive gashes in icy walls just around the entrance.
8.
18.
13.
17.
Okay, well, if you look to the sides of the cave, you can see that there are slashes, and by looking at them, and by double-checking my notes...
Frog pulls out her journal once more, flips some pages.
Yes, these are definitely claw marks from a large creature, possibly draconic in nature. Yikes.
Everybody make a history check.
13.
Nat 20.
24.
24.
Farah thinks for a moment and realizes just what they are standing in front of. This is the old abandoned lair of the white dragon Rhymefang.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about a live dragon in here.
Why is that?
The Slayer's Take has boasted about this for a while now. It's Rhymefang.
Oh, the white dragon that Vox Machina defeated.
Vox Machina. But they're some of the most esteemed adventurers in all of Taldore. We should not be here.
What if the marionette has possessed such a formidable opponent?
Ha! Well, now that you've said it, it's a possibility. Thanks.
Yeah, I guess maybe we should worry about a dragon here then.
I'd say it's more of a probability than a possibility.
Timpani, why is that the most reasonable thing that you've said?
Sometimes I surprise even myself.
This is actually quite exciting for me because I've read about this dragon in a book, and now I'm here and I might be able to see it.
I wish he wouldn't make so much noise. I was hoping to employ some sneakiness. Maybe we don't have to fight this thing.
Okay, well, how about this? What if I just go in there, walking in like I'm trying to save my best pal Poogs, and then you guys come in all sneaky like behind me, so I'm kind of like a distraction.
Well, you are very loud and distracting. I think it could work.
It's the sharpest sword in my arsenal. Timpani trudges forward with renewed conviction to get Poogs out safely.
Do we like him? I'm getting mixed signals now.
I think it's mixed. As Farah moves forward, she does so cautiously, making sure that she analyzes her surroundings thoroughly before each step.
Sure enough, Farah, you see that wispy red smoke leading deeper into the cavern. Roll an investigation check.
20.
Once in a while, tapping the icy walls of the cavern with her short swords, prodding for traps, while carefully keeping herself primed to dive out of the way. Farah concludes that this particular cavern is untrapped.
Farah moves forward, following the wisp of red light.
And the group travels deeper and deeper into the heart of the mountain. And suddenly, the claustrophobic walls of the ice cave begin to widen, and soon, the party is inside of an enormous chamber, with glowing, towering walls of ice, and a stack of icy gray objects lying on the floor in an immense pile. Something in this cavern is glowing bright green, which causes the entire chamber to pulse with an ethereal light. An icy ledge looms overhead. Everybody make an Arcana check.
16.
18.
Dirty 20.
7.
Hira recognizes the scorch marks from the spell Hellish Rebuke atop the ledge.
It looks like someone else uses magics not unlike my own.
Timpani, having held his position at the entrance to the chamber, looks back at Hira. More like used. That's how Vox Machina took the beastie out in the first place.
Timpani begins to walk forward into the chamber after holding his arm out to tell everyone else to wait.
Hello? Poogs? You here?
Oh my gosh! Timpani, is that you?
Poogs! Oh, where are you?
I'm right here.
Timpani runs over to the pile of objects in the middle of the floor. Everybody make a nature check.
22.
Nat 20.
5.
14.
Yeah, those are bones, right?
Assuredly so.
Yeah, I have a feeling, Timpani's gone, guys.
Timpani finds Poogs, who is holding 2 massive objects in his hands as if they are prison bars. Farah and Hira, you see that Poogs is trapped within the remnants of an old, very large rib cage.
Timpani, there's something in the back of the chamber. I don't know what it is, but you gotta...
And then there is a shift within the mountain, and the glowing green light intensifies. And suddenly, peeking out from the other side of the ledge, 8 thick green tendrils, glowing with an ethereal light, begin to creep down towards the bones.
Get out of here! Just run, I'll be okay, I'll figure it out, just go!
Heck no, Poogs. I ain't ever gonna leave your side, just like you didn't leave me in the past. Besides, this is just a simple situation where all we gotta do is, oh my gosh, there's 8 of them!
And each vine begins to wrap itself around the bones of the deceased dragon, Rhymefang. Like marionette strings, they latch on, picking the skeleton up into a bipedal stance. Though the skeleton is incomplete, missing its nails, its teeth, and bearing no wings. And then, the tendrils pull the skeleton up like a puppet being retracted above the stage, and it comes to rest on the ledge above. Poogs falls out as the skeleton lifts into the air. The vines wrap around the skeleton more intensely, and suddenly, as if in reverse, a bit of fire springs forth within the ribcage. And then the fire expands and drifts upward, concentrating into 2 glowing orbs of light that go still as soon as they enter the empty eye sockets of the dragon's skull. The ceilings are about 80 feet high, and the dragon sits 20 feet up on the ledge. There's a beat of silence, and then a ghostly roar. The dragon pitches forward slightly as the 8 vines support an unnatural angle as the dragon leans all the way off the ledge, reaching out predatorily with clawless bones.
Jordyn looks down at Frog. Are you prepared to fight that thing?
I am if you are.
Okay, let's try to even the scales. And he puts a shaking hand on the beaded necklace around his neck. Make my new friend grow! And he casts Enlarge on Frog.
Frog's body twitches for a moment, and in an instant, she becomes gigantic, doubling her size.
Wow!
I can't wait to write about this in my journal!
Farah shoots one of the vines.
Roll an attack.
Natural 1.
The first ghostly crossbow bolt fires towards the dragon, and unnaturally fast, all 8 of the vines swerve the skeleton 5 feet to the left, avoiding the blast, and in response, scrape the ceiling with big bony hands. Ice falls down on top of Farah. Roll a dexterity save.
10.
Failure. Farah takes 31 damage, bringing her down to 6 points of health, as ice slams down on top of her, restraining her on the floor. The dragon roars, but not from its mouth. It's a ghostly sound that permeates your brains. And the bones of Rhymefang lurch forward at the rest of the party. Timpani is immediately targeted. The vines pick the dragon skeleton up and clumsily slam it down into the floor so it can make its attacks against Timpani.
Oh, no.
First, the dragon lunges forward and its toothless jaws clamp around Timpani. He is then thrown to the ground. A claw comes down, almost slamming him into the dirt, but he rolls to the side. And then the tail sweeps up from the ground and launches him into the wall.
Not to
Timpani takes 31 damage.
Kira draws her spectral rapier. Timpani, scrape yourself off the wall and help Farah. As she rushes forward, bravely brandishing her sword. As she thrusts forward, aiming for the vines wrapped around Rhymefang's skeleton. 26.
Hit. Roll damage.
21.
One of the vines is pierced by the rapier, which glows with a spectral light. And again, as if the blade is corporeal, the vines react and shriek. And as Hira tears her rapier free, the top of the ghostly vine drops to the floor and shoots back over the ledge. There are still 7 vines wrapped around Rhymefang's skeleton.
Satisfied with her performance, Hira points her spectral rapier in the direction of a nearby stalagmite, and almost as if pulled forward by a ghostly light, teleports behind it. Well, that's different.
Frog, now twice her normal size, looks up at Jordyn.
Are you ready? Hold tight!
Frog rushes forward to attack the vines holding together this ghostly skeleton.
Roll your attacks.
13, 13, 17.
1 hit.
Ooh! Huh? Ah!
Roll your damage.
12.
One of the vines shivers with the impact, and suddenly an orb of light appears, hovering in the air, right at the point of impact, and the cavern is illuminated a bit better.
Feeling slightly embarrassed by missing her first 2 strikes, Frog takes a deep breath and focuses her ki so that she can make an extra attack. 22.
Hit.
13.
And with an enormous and stiff hand, another of the vines is cleanly severed and retracts back over the ledge, leaving only 6. Poogs sprints towards Farah and begins attempting to remove the heavy ice that is crushing her. A 12 athletics check is insufficient to free her, and he struggles, beginning to remove some of the smaller chunks of ice.
Hold on, we'll get you out of there.
Timpani runs up and helps Poogs with the shards of ice.
Roll an athletics check.
17.
And Timpani removes the largest chunk, helping Farah to her feet.
Oh, jeez.
Come on.
All right, let's move.
Hold up there, Farah. Let's get you back into fighting shape. Timpani casts Healing Spirit. A tiny, spectral pine marten pokes its head out of Timpani's barncoat sleeve, leaps onto Farah's shoulder, and basks her in glowing healing light.
Farah recovers 9 health points, bringing her up to 15 points of health. And then the ghostly green light begins to move along the icy walls like a spotlight. And like a flash, spectral tendrils shoot out from the walls, attempting to restrain every member of our party. Everybody make a dexterity save.
5.
16.
23.
19.
17.
And Farah is suddenly wrapped up in vines and pulled 10 feet into the air, restrained yet again.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
What are you gonna do?
Idrin channels the magic into the sun symbol on his hand and casts 3 scorching rays, 2 at one of the vines and the last one at another.
The necklace around his neck pulses, adding a little bit more power to the spell. Roll your attacks.
25, 16.
2 hits on the first vine. Roll damage.
28 fire damage.
The vine seems to burn and shrink as it drops to the floor, lifeless, before suddenly getting sucked again back over the ledge.
And Idrin fires the 3rd bolt of Scorching Ray. 18. 7 fire damage.
There's an arcane scorch mark across the ghostly figure, but it remains taut around the skeleton. Farah, make a strength save at disadvantage to break free of your bindings.
6. No. Help, if possible, but also run, but also help.
The marionette skeleton turns to the most imposing figure in the room, the enormous frog, and it makes 3 attacks. And hits 3 times. 1 attack is a nat 20. In a similar fight pattern, the toothless jaws close around Frog's middle. Bits of the metal begin to dent inward due to the sheer power. One of the claws then knocks Frog to the ground, hitting her upside the head. And then a thick, bony tail slams down directly on top of her. Frog takes 57 damage. As the tail impacts on Frog, her blue eyes go slightly dim as she is knocked unconscious. Idrin, make an acrobatics check as you are flung off of her back.
18.
Idrin lands gracefully, but a little staggered on his feet.
Hira cowers behind the stalagmite for a moment, seeing what has become of her new friend, Frog, but then braces herself, charging out once more, attempting to aim true for one of the remaining vines. 19.
Hit, roll damage.
16.
And one of the vines is snipped cleanly off of the skeleton, leaving only 4 remaining. The entire thing shifts awkwardly as suddenly the skeleton begins to come apart and float into 4 separate sections independently of each other. The skull floats a little further away from the rest of the body, while the 2 clawless arms jiggle underneath it, the tail sliding on the floor towards the party.
Pleased with her decisive strike, Hira withdraws the rapier once again and points behind a different stalagmite 30 feet away, teleporting to it effortlessly.
Frog, unconscious, will make a death save.
10.
1 success. Frog, as if through a glass bubble, you hear some of the action in the cavern as you struggle to remain conscious.
Whoa! I'll be there in a second.
Meanwhile, Poogs leaps up, attempting to grab Farah's feet as she is hovering above the ground, and does so successfully.
I'll get you out of there.
Anyone will now have advantage to free Farah from the vine.
Timpani attempts to free Farah. Oh, just hold on there, Farah. I got you. 18. Timpani jumps up, grabs Poog's feet, and yanks both of them down with a hard tug. Whew, there you go.
Yeah, thanks again.
and Farah is gingerly back on her feet.
As a bonus action, Timpani sends the spiritual Pine Marten over to rest on Frog's chest.
Frog recovers 8 health points, bringing her up to 8 points of health, and she regains consciousness.
What happened? What is this?
And the dragon roars within each of your minds. A frightening, multi-tone scream. Everybody make a wisdom save.
8.
6. Natural 1.
23.
24.
Poogs also rolls a natural 1.
Oh my gosh!
Poogs, Farah, Frog, and Hera are all struck with a deep, visceral fear and become frightened. They may no longer move towards the dragon and will have disadvantage on all attacks while it is within their sights.
Jordyn clutches the necklace around his neck and feels a comforting warmth. It seems to burn away the fear that's creeping around his heart, and he looks around at some of his shaken companions and resolves to be brave and bold. He looks at this skeletal, draconic figure and then clutches a piece of cured leather that he pulls from his pocket. He puts it to his chest and casts mage armor, and then runs a bit to the side, yelling at the dragon, trying to get its attention.
Where's that cold breath, bonehead? Look at me!
Roll an intimidation check.
17.
And the dragon turns most of its attention on Jordyn.
Oh, this was a horrible idea.
Look, I'm not gonna leave a party behind, but I think this is one we should run from. Farah attacks the vines twice.
Roll an attack at disadvantage.
Natural 1.
The bolt flies forward and impacts at a point that Farah knows to be structurally unsound in the cave. There's a moment where she freezes, realizing that if it impacts at the wrong angle, it could bring the entire cave down on top of all of them. And then the bolt passes through the wall because it is incorporeal.
Oh boy.
And a second attack roll.
11.
A miss.
All right, who wants to get out of here?
Farah, make a wisdom save.
Nat 20.
Farah shakes herself and rids herself of her fear, and the pieces of Rhymefang begin to retaliate. Both arms slam down towards Jordyn.
As the claws come down on Jordyn, he puts his hands up and creates a barrier around his body, casting shield as a reaction.
Jordyn's armor class increases to 21 for the round. The first hand impacts on a barrier of force that suddenly springs to life in front of Jordyn, but the second shatters it, almost bringing Jordyn to the ground as it collides into his collarbone. Jordyn takes 18 damage, bringing him down to 1 point of health. The head lunges towards a hidden Hera, who is ducking behind partial cover. The head explodes through the brittle ice, and the toothless jaws bite down on Hera ferociously. She takes 18 bludgeoning damage.
As the jaws are about to clamp around Hera's waist, she skillfully twirls out of the way, and it catches her arm instead.
She reduces the damage in half, taking only 9 points of damage, bringing her down to 24 points of health. And then the tail refocuses on Poogs, and it slams him into the ground.
I'm coming!
He takes 12 damage.
Still cowering behind the remains of the stalagmite, Hera casts an appraising eye over the skull floating menacingly near her and searches for a weak point to drive her rapier home. 16.
Success. There's an especially skinny part of the ethereal vine at the very top crest of the skull. Hera cancels her disadvantage.
25.
Hit. Roll damage.
11.
The rapier pierces the vine, and it looks very, very weak, but just barely, by a thread, maintains its connection. The ghostly eyes in the skull flicker, but it remains in the air. Hera, make a wisdom save.
4.
The fright still permeates Hera's bones.
Frog, too frightened to attack the creature, decides to stand her ground and focus her mind. As she calms her mind, her body begins to vibrate at an imperceptible rate. Some of her battered metal body begins to repair itself.
Frog is healed 8 points, bringing her up to 16 points of health.
Feeling herself regain this new health, Frog plants her feet defiantly, taking a defensive stance.
Frog, make a wisdom save at the end of your turn.
13.
And remains deeply frightened of the abomination in front of her. Poogs, also terrified, picks up a rock, feeling a bit of his past come back to him, and throws it at the ghostly thread. It passes directly through and clatters uselessly to the floor.
Oh, shoot.
A laugh seems to escape Rhymefang's toothless maw, followed by a confident roar as the massive marionette prepares to finish the party once and for all. And now for a brief intermission.
Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity.
Shopify's point of sale system is a unified command center for your retail business. It brings together in-store and online operations even across 1,000 locations.
Imagine being able to guarantee that shopping is always convenient. Endless aisle, ship to customer, buy online, pick up in stores, all made simpler so customers can shop how and where they want and staff have the tools they need to close the sale every time.
And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep existing shoppers coming back to your stores with consistent, tailored experiences and first-party data that give marketing teams a competitive edge.
Want more?
Yeah!
Check it out at shopify.com/r/ all lowercase and learn how to create the best retail experiences without complexity.
That's shopify.com/r/.
Cha-ching!
With the planning, recording, and editing that go into the Reslayer's Take, Nick and I aren't left with a lot of time for exercise.
Luckily, our sponsor, Tonal, has helped us use the time we actually have to create personalized workouts just for us. Tonal learns from your movement and provides suggested weight recommendations for every move, and they even give you detailed reports on your progress.
They create personalized programs and workout suggestions based on your individual goals. Like me, I want the rogue-like agility to backflip over dungeon traps.
And I want the berserker strength to hold a heavy door up for my friends so they can escape the undead hordes thanks to my heroic sacrifice. With Tonal, you can do it all. It's like having a personal trainer at home with you.
Unlike traditional gym equipment, Tonal uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques.
Whether you're a professional athlete or a cake-loving dungeon master like us, Tonal can be trusted to help you become your strongest, most fit self.
Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code RESLAYER. That's Tonal.com and use promo code RESLAYER for $200 off your purchase.
Tonal.com, promo code RESLAYER for $200 off.
Let's roll those athletics checks.
I'm Nick Friedman.
I'm Lee Alec Murray.
And I'm Leah President. And this is Crunchyroll Presents The Anime Effect.
We are a new show breaking down the anime news, views, and shows you care about each and every week. I can't think of a better studio to bring something like this to life. And
I agree. We're covering all the classics.
If I don't know a lot about Godzilla, which I do, but I'm trying to pretend that I don't right
Hold
now.
it in, hold it. And our current faves. Luffy must have his due.
Tune in every week for the latest anime updates and possibly a few debates.
Oof.
I remember, what was that?
Say what you're going to say and I'll circle back.
You can listen to Crunchyroll Presents The Anime Effect every Friday wherever you get your podcasts. And watch full video episodes on Crunchyroll or the Crunchyroll YouTube channel.
Now back to the show.
In the fog of battle, Timpani looks around at all of his new friends, who have just taken such a battering from this horrifying monster. He pulls a pile of something deep from within a pocket in his barn coat, rubs it briskly between his hands to get it warm, and then blows outward, showering his allies in golden glowing spores as he casts Mass Cure Wounds.
As the spores glitter in the ice cave and settle upon each person's individual shoulders, you all feel vitality flood into you and regain 19 points of health. Farah is brought to 34 points of health. Frog is brought to 35. Hira is brought to 43. And Idrin is brought to 20. But then there is a whirring from behind the ledge, where all of the vines have been retracting to. And then a pulsing of green energy explodes into the cavern. Everybody make a Constitution save.
14.
13.
21.
19.
4.
Everybody but Jordyn resists the blast, taking half damage. Jordyn is knocked prone and takes the full brunt. Everybody takes 6 necrotic damage, while Jordyn takes 13. Jordyn is brought to 7 points of health, Hera to 37, Frog to 29, and Farah to 28.
Jordyn looks up at this beast that still stands in front of him. He looks at the ghostly vine that's hovering near Hera that seems to be dangling lighter than some of the others. He starts to map it out, pointing one finger at that vine and then 2 fingers at another vine. Let it fall! And lets out 3 magic missiles.
Roll your damage.
The one near Hera takes 5 points of force damage.
The magic missile fires through the vine, severing it, and the skull crashes into the ice.
The second vine takes 7 points of force damage.
The second ghostly vine targeted appears damaged but remains attached.
All right, so we're not running? All right. Farah grips her crossbow tightly. Her arm glows a bright red once again, and the tip of the glowing crossbow bolt lights on fire.
The flame is ghostly blue.
Farah first takes aim at the damaged vine. 20.
Hit, roll damage.
3 magical piercing, 2 fire damage.
The vine still stands.
Frustrated, she takes aim and shoots again. 8.
Miss. The second bolt fires and goes a bit wide as the marionette swerves the claw a bit to the side, and the 3 pieces of the dragon retaliate once more. The tail slams down towards Hera. She takes 22 bludgeoning damage as it slams down on top of her.
Hera once again deftly attempts to move out of the way. The tail comes crashing down on her ankle instead of directly on her head.
And she reduces the damage in half and takes 11, bringing her down to 26 points of health. One clawless arm targets Frog. But the marionette moves clumsily as it rolls a natural 1, leaving itself open to a free opportunity attack from Frog. Frog, you may make this attack at advantage.
Nat 20. 23.
With a clean chop, the vine is severed and retracts behind the ledge, leaving only 2 ghostly pieces of Rhyme Fang floating in the cavern. Frog, after your immensely successful strike, you are no longer frightened.
Ha! You thought you had me!
And then the other claw tries to attack Frog from behind. This attack misses by a mile, as Frog confidently leaps over it.
Emboldened by the actions of her brave party members, Hera attempts to strike out at the skeletal tail floating ethereally near her. 26.
Hit, roll damage.
13.
Both of the remaining 2 vines now look very beaten up. Hera, make a wisdom save.
17.
And you shake the fright from your bones.
With the fear gone, Frog feels emboldened to strike once more at this ghastly dragon.
Natural 1.
Frog confidently goes to chop the vine in half, but soon finds herself the subject of a feint, and the claw whips around, clocking her in the back of the head. She takes 21 damage, bringing her down to 8 points of health, and Frog is knocked prone and her turn ends. Poogs runs.
Oh man, I'm too young to die!
Timpani runs in the opposite direction to Frog's side, grabs her giant metallic hand, and casts Cure Wounds.
Frog recovers 18 points of health, bringing her up to 26 points of health.
Jordyn starts to feel a little bit of fear and hesitation, but he tries to put on a brave face because his companions haven't stopped. So why should he?
You can do it. Finish it.
There's a stuttering to his magic as he feels himself using up all that he has left, and he fires magic missile at the 2 remaining vines.
Roll damage.
4 force damage. 5 force damage.
The first 2 bolts fire forward, passing through the ghostly vine holding one of the arms, severing it and sending it to the floor. There is now only the big tail floating in the chamber.
And he manages to curve the last magic missile, attempting to pierce the vine that is holding the tail. 5 force damage.
This last vine hangs on by the barest of threads.
Farah aims for the final vine. 14, 5.
Both spectral bolts miss as the tail jerks from side to side, in a panic, trying to dodge, and takes one last desperate swipe at Farah, missing her completely.
Regaining some of her boldness, Hira charges forward. Why won't you die already? 17?
Hit. Roll damage.
20.
Hira leaps through the air. Time seems to stand still. She swipes her sword forward, lands, and then the tail crashes into the ice. The vine severed, and all is quiet as it retracts back up behind the ledge. The green pulsing light, weak now, and fading, but still present.
Ashes to ashes. Or bones to bones, I guess.
The scattered bones of Rhymefang litter the entire chamber.
Well fought, friends, but I do not think our job here is done.
Oh, I wish it was.
I think we gotta go up that ledge.
Timpani takes off his pack, puts crampons on his boots, and tosses a pair to each member to help them climb.
Everybody make an athletics check with advantage to make their way up the ledge.
15.
15.
Dirty 20.
3 successes.
Adrian, how about I just scoop you up and put you right up there?
I'd love that. Yes, please.
Frog reaches down and picks up Edrin in both of her hands.
That's a little tight. Okay.
Lifts him up and puts him on the platform.
And Edrin is the first to see a pulsing green bulb on the floor.
What the?
The whispering intensifies, and as everybody makes their way up the icy ledge, they all gather around it. This little bulb-like plant, just by its very thorny and rugged nature, seems poisonous and carnivorous. Hira, how do you want to do this?
I don't like it. Hira stabs it.
And there is a scream in all of your brains that sends you all to the floor. Whoa! The cave is no longer a sickly green, but is lit by little stars of light, the remnants of Frog's magical punches. And the cave is suddenly tranquil and beautiful. Everybody make a perception check.
13.
4.
17.
13.
Poogs comes in from the entrance.
What was that?
Hira shakes her head, still shaking off the scream. Farah and Frog look down and realize that the bulb is gone, and what remains is only a small pile of ash. But Edrin, looking past that, sees something inside the wall of ice, illuminated by these orbs of light. A box, clutched in 2 human skeletal hands, something ancient and forgotten to time.
Edrin looks at the box encased in ice and slowly walks up, leaning his hand against the wall. He closes his eyes for a moment, and when they open, glowing, he casts shape water to melt the ice and bring the box out.
And it flows like a fountain from the wall and clatters to the floor. There's a little golden latch on the front.
Edrin tries to open the latch.
And it flips open, and inside are 10 round golden circles. Everybody make an investigation check.
18.
14.
15.
21.
Edrin, Hira, you both pick up one of these golden circles and realize they are the perfect shape for one's ear. Edrin, you also realize that this copper piece seems to be the exact same shade and even has a similar symbol on it as what is splattered across Frog's chest.
Curious. I think they may be earrings of some sort. And Frog, they may be related to you in some way. There's a very similar symbol.
Whoa!
Frog, not to be insensitive, but do you have knowledge of who is responsible for your creation?
Great question, Hira. I don't have any recollection or memory about where or when or who made me.
Well, if such knowledge is desirable to you, I think we have our first clue.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I have to write this down.
Poogs steps forward, picking up one of these little things, and slowly moves it to his ear, sticking it inside.
It's pretty comfy. Huh. I don't feel any different.
Timpani puts one in his ear.
I don't know. Stop yelling!
The feedback from these odd communication devices is loud and obnoxious, but only when speaking too loudly. And soon, after a little bit of experimentation, it is deduced that all of these are hooked up to the same shared channel, the means to communicate over long distances.
Frog reaches into the box and holds one of these orbs up to her face.
And as it gets close, it suddenly shoots out of Frog's hands and magnetically sticks to the side of her head. And she is connected to the channel.
Whoa. Cool.
Our party exits Rhymefang's abandoned cavern.
Timpani busily straps the skull of Rhymefang onto his pack. If this doesn't convince him, I don't know what will.
It drags behind Timpani, carving the dirt away. But Timpani seems just about unbothered by the extra weight.
Timpani puts both fingers in his mouth and whistles. And soon, a blue jay flies down and lands on his shoulder. He whispers to it before sending it off again. Well, I just sent the message to the Slayer's Take. Gosh, I hope they believe us this time.
And the group begins to walk out of the Vesper Timberlands, heading back towards Himblewood. But before they get back to the town, there's another bird song, and a cardinal floats down and lands on Timpani's shoulder.
Hey there, what do you got for me?
It seems to whisper into Timpani's ear, and then flits away.
Okay, great. That bird just told me they're gonna meet us outside of town in just under an hour.
What if they think we just recovered the skull of the dragon that was already slain by the adventurers that came before us? How will we prove that it was reanimated?
This seems to deeply trouble Timpani.
They haven't believed me in the past, but I gotta keep trying. Because people gotta know what's happening up here and across the whole dang valley. And if I don't tell them, who's gonna?
Hopefully they will take the word of 5 people over the word of 1.
That's my secret weapon this time, Hera. I'm not alone anymore. I got you guys backing me up. And you, Poogs, but that's never helped me in the past.
An hour passes, and our party goes to the meeting place. An open and beautiful meadow, stars gleaming overhead in the hours just before dawn. As they stand around the enormous skull of Rhymefang, 2 figures suddenly appear through the brush, both wearing robes adorned with Slayer's Take badges. Timpani immediately recognizes one of the high-ranking members of the Slayer's Take.
Oh, Ranger Guff.
Good evening, Mr. Heldwell, sir.
What brings you outside of Himblewood so late at night?
That's a really good question, and that's exactly why I brought you here. I got proof this time. Timpani slams his backpack down with the skull of Rhymefang facing the man.
What is this?
This is the skull of Rhymefang, the great white dragon slain by the Slayer's Take and Vox Machina.
I'm very aware it was one of our greatest triumphs, Timpani.
Well, I gotta tell you, as of an hour ago, this guy here wasn't as slain as you guys claim.
This again.
This thing was up and flying around and throwing jaws at us like nobody's business.
And who are all of you?
These are my friends and
I didn't ask you, Timpani, I asked them.
Sorry.
Each of you identify yourself.
Farah, monster hunter.
And you?
Hera, currently unemployed, I suppose.
And what about you, tall one?
Frog. I was gonna say the tall one. You took it. You took my line.
And what about you, sir?
Idrin Shadowstep. Researcher and mage.
Well, you should all know you have found yourselves in the company of a con artist of the greatest degree. Timpani Guff is a failure and an embarrassment. And you should all be more careful of the company you keep.
But that's not true, sir. They saw it.
I said enough, Timpani!
I've met people like you along the way. Haughty, full of yourself. I've hunted a monster or 2 in my time, and I saw what I saw. It was a marionette ghost.
A marionette ghost? Roll a persuasion check.
18.
And what is that?
Well, you're not really a professional if you don't know what that is.
Heldwell seems genuinely offended. Guff, Osissa was deeply clear. You are not to be admitted to the Slayer's Take. Take the hint. It's been a century.
I don't understand. I got proof this time, and other people to back up my claims.
What proof do you have?
Take a look at the holes in my body. It was a fantastic sight, sir. This huge skeleton was animated by these ghost tentacles, and it really did a number on us all.
It's true, sir. Look, if you're not gonna let me into the take, I understand. I'm a big-time loser, but at least let them in. They deserve it. They did an incredible job today, cleaning up your mess.
I'm sorry. I've seen no evidence of any monster slain today that wasn't already dead. All you've done is rob a grave.
And what about this?
And what about what?
Hera holds aloft the spectral rapier she used in battle.
But holds only a hilt. No blade is present. A broken sword. So you're all crackpots. Good. Good, Timpani. You managed to find each other, don't you? I've had enough of this. Igor, let's go.
If I may, Timpani, how much experience do you have with spectral creatures?
The man turns around. Myself personally, not much. I hunt things that are real.
We haven't come with much, so it's reasonable to have doubt. But surely you don't think that we would, or even could, injure ourselves in this way. Look at this bruise.
Oh, yikes.
Clearly made by a dragon that is already dead. That would support our story, don't you think? No way a dead dragon can move on its own. It's not like we fell on it.
This man goes very still, and he steps a bit closer to you all, and his face is revealed, now relieved of shadow. He's a gaunt man with sallow cheeks, balding and thinning black hair, and a prominent chin. And he looks at you with cold regard. I've heard enough. If ever again the six of you deem it necessary to taint the good name of the Slayer's Take with your lies, I shall send people after you.
Well, you said so yourself. Like people find each other. And if you are a representative of Slayer's Take, then I have no wish to join.
We'll have a wonderful evening. You all deserve each other.
Have a horrible evening. Goodbye.
The man walks away. Idrin, Farah, and Frog roll perception checks.
10.
Dirty 20.
Nat 20.
As they walk away, Idrin steps daringly a little bit closer and strains his ears, as the gaunt man whispers to his werebore sidekick Igor, "Keep this between us. Osisa must not be told." And they disappear over the hill.
Sorry, did I mess that up for us?
I think we partially did. I mean, we didn't come with much proof.
But there was no reason for him to be so disparaging.
Well, if Timpani has lied, he would have a reason. No offense, Timpani. You understand why it might be hard to believe you sometimes, right?
Okay, let's get the record clear. All I said that was a lie was that I was part of the Slayer's Take, which I wasn't. Everything else I said was the truth.
But that means the first thing you told us was a lie, which makes it harder to believe all the true stuff. I mean, I do believe you now.
He's got a point, Timpani. I told you that would be a problem.
Listen, guys, I'm sorry for lying. That's not an okay thing to do, and I shouldn't have done it. But you gotta understand, I've tried so many times to just tell people the truth about what's happening here, and I've been turned away at every single turn by every person we've approached. They see me and how much of a bumblebutt I am, and gosh darn it, they just don't believe I could know anything about anything. But I do. This is really happening, and I did what I did for the greater good because this isn't an isolated incident. This is happening all over the place. Everything that the Take has taken down is coming back. And if the Take isn't gonna do nothing about it, then we gotta start, because people are gonna get hurt.
Again, I've done this a long time. I've seen guilds like these. They're a dime a dozen. I still made plenty of money just doing it on my own. We can forget them.
You know, Farah, I am inclined to like your sort of independent contractor approach. I know he said it sarcastically, that he was happy we found each other, but I, for one, am happy we have. Even if Timpani is a giant liar, liar, pants on fire.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, no more. From now on, you're getting the whole truth all the time. Nothing but truth. Truth all day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we're gonna start right now. Come on, gang, follow me.
and Timpani drags the giant skull behind him and runs off into the brush.
Poogs waits a bit behind. If you all don't want to come, we understand. But either way, thanks. And Poogs takes off after Timpani.
Farah feels a warmth for the two that just walked away, but then it hits her. She turns to the group. Wait, was the payment a lie too?
Most likely.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
I mean, I guess there's no harm in receiving the full truth, or whatever he said, all truth, or a lot of truth, and then we could leave.
Look, he may not be giving us the full truth, but if we search for ourselves, I think the truth is out there.
Maybe he could lead us to another dragon horde, one with money.
He might be a silly man, but that doesn't make him wrong.
Hira begins running after Timpani. I can't help but watch a carriage wreck.
And Hira is off down the hill.
Farah goes after.
I'm going under one condition, Frog.
Yes,
Can I get on your back?
of course. I was waiting for you to ask.
One day later, on the outskirts of Vasselheim, in a dingy studio apartment, completely cluttered with papers and strings hanging off the walls, Timpani leads Hira, Frog, Idrin, and Farah, followed by Poogs, inside. He twists a gas lantern, illuminating the chaos over the walls.
Timpani aggressively clears a dining room table full of empty tuna cans and slaps down a giant map of the greater Vasselheim area covered in red X's and big red circles. Welcome to the Reslayer's take. We got plenty of work to do.
Crickets chirp in the swampy bog. A few silhouettes move up to the front door of the hut, owned by Gert Stumpstuck. There's a bit of hesitation at the door, and then one of them reaches forward, grabs the knocker, and knocks it. The door opens.
Greetings, Sarah. We have been sent by the Spectral Hand to claim our birthright, though it would seem the knocker has already been repaired and the password to obtain our artifacts has already been given, which does give me some concern. We have tirelessly traveled a great day and a half to meet you here.
The door closes. Gert panics on the other side.
Well, that's gonna be a problem.
The Reslayer's Take is a Meta-Pigeon production in partnership with and distributed by Critical Role Productions, developed in association with Hero Club. Game mastered and produced by George Primavera and Nick Williams. Featuring Nick Williams as Timpani Guff, George Primavera as Poogs, Jasmine Bhullar as Hira Agniheart, Jasmine Chiong as Farah, Jasper Cartwright as Idrin Shadowstep, and Caroline Lux as Frog. Also featuring Dylan McCullum as the Spectral Hand Stranger. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.